You've tried everything. You've been the calm one. You've kept the peace. You hold your tongue, soften your words, and you're even convinced that your needs can wait. Again, but the connection still feels off. And deep down, you're wondering why you're the only one trying. If that's you, then this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about something that gets massively misunderstood. That's the difference between empathy and people pleasing. Because if you think you're being the better person, that means staying small to keep your relationship afloat. Or if you've believed that's what I've been telling you, then you might be off in this process. So let's talk about what real empathy looks like and why being nice isn't actually the solution.
Welcome to the Love Conscious Relationship Podcast, where our host gives her expert advice about relationships, communication, connection, and intimacy as she explores ideas about how to share, respect, and validate your partner with one loving experience at a time. Now let's welcome our host, therapist and relationship expert, Jessica Myers-Adams.
Hey there, welcome to the Love Conscious Relationship Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Myers-Adams, and today we're talking about something that is misunderstood often. So in the past few weeks, I've been talking about making sure that you're being the better person, making sure that you offer compassion to your partner, and making sure that your side of the street is clean. What I am not talking about is being a people pleaser or staying small or not voicing things. Definitely not saying that. I'm actually talking about you trying to stay solid in yourself and then having empathy, and then also trying to understand what's going on with your partner. In the last episode, I talked about, instead of saying, what's wrong with you, asking what's wrong and what's going on. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to accept it or that you're going to be a people pleaser, meaning that you're going to condone what's happening. So if you're getting stuck on what is the difference between just keeping the peace versus being an empathetic partner, then this is going to be for you. If you've ever felt like you're trying so hard to keep your partner happy and then you feel resentful, that actually is probably people pleasing. So I want to talk about what the difference is between the two and how you can actually be more effective in creating change. Because let's be honest, if you're just people pleasing, what ends up happening is that just one of you is happy while the other one is miserable. Now, of course, when you have a disagreement or when you don't see things the same way, then there's going to be one of you who's going to be disappointed, and that makes total sense. But that doesn't mean that you are not going to feel like you've made the correct decision. Because if you've done this properly, you can make the decision to make a sacrifice and still be pleased with the outcome. Because ultimately, you've got to a place with your partner where you've decided that their desire trumped your desire in this one specific thing. So you're not being a people pleaser. You're actually trying to get to the bottom of what is best for the relationship. Hopefully, if you do this well, your partner's going to have empathy for you as well, because they're going to see that you're making the sacrifice. So let's jump in and let's talk a little bit about what people pleasing is. I think, the reason that I bring this up is because over the last few episodes, I have been talking again about just you being the better person. And I've been reading a lot on social media where people say, why do I always have to do things? And should I just make my partner happy? And I was thinking, I definitely want to make sure that this is clear, that this isn't about making your partner happy. When I say that you ask what's wrong when your partner is being a dink, I'm asking you to find out what's going on. I'm not saying that you have to say it's okay or that you don't bring these things up later. In fact, if you did do that, you may be slipping into the realm of people pleasing. Because people pleasing is trying to avoid conflict. It's making yourself small so the other person is safe or feels comfortable, I should say. And then it's sacrificing what you want and not being open about your desires. So it's lacking honest communication. On the other hand, if we're feeling empathy, we're understanding what's going on for our partner, and we're having some concern for how they're feeling. We're understanding what's going on in their inner world, but that doesn't mean we lose ourself. Losing yourself means that you're feeling what they feel and you're experiencing the emotions, and then you lose the part of yourself that can speak up and help the both of you. So you don't want to be going into sympathy and experiencing it with them. You want to have empathy where there's two truths in the room at the same time. You can hold on to yourself and be curious about what your partner is experiencing. Empathy is like walking alongside your partner, and people pleasing is like laying yourself down in a puddle, allowing them to walk over you. Please come step on my dreams, whatever makes you comfortable. That's more of the people pleasing. And again, people pleasing can't create intimacy, because what happens is when one partner gets what they want but doesn't realize what it's costing the other person, it's not satisfactory for both people. Pleaser ends up resentful, unseen, and then burnt out. Eventually, the happy partner feels confused because they see their partner looking like they're disconnected, looking like they're frustrated and angry. And so this isn't going to work out for either of you, honestly, in the end. Imagine if you're always saying it's fine when it's not fine. Eventually, your partner thinks everything is fine and you're the only one drowning. And then when you do call out for help, they're saying, I didn't even know that you were upset, right? And you may want them to know that you're upset. Oftentimes I think people pleasers, or the person who's making sacrifices without being honest, I think what happens is they're hoping that their partner will mind read. They're hoping that their partner will know what's going on. And I think timing is important too, because if your partner is activated and is having an issue, maybe it isn't the correct time to bring up what you're feeling or what you're thinking. So timing is everything, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about, abandoning yourself to make sure that your partner is feeling okay. And empathy, what it really looks like is still holding on to yourself. You know where both of you stand. So you know that you maybe don't feel the same way, but you can offer some empathy. You can offer some curiosity to what's going on with your partner. And you might not agree, and that's okay. Sometimes sacrifices are made, but when they're done effectively, they are seen, acknowledged, and appreciated. Now, not all times are our partners going to appreciate what we're doing, but I think we have a much better chance if we say, I can see what you're thinking and feeling, and I think you're experiencing this and this. Is there any more that you want to tell me? And they tell you the things that are going on, and you might say, these are the things that I will lose. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I want you to know where I stand. But I think when it stacks up against each other, maybe your desire is going to be higher in this issue. And so I'm going to offer a sacrifice for this. Connection builds when you're real and honest with each other, not just abandoning yourself. Because if you abandon yourself, then your partner isn't in relationship with anyone. They're in a relationship with someone who's not showing up. So empathy is going to honor the sacrifice, and people pleasing is going to hide it. So I just want to make sure that this is all clear. I thought this would be a short episode, but definitely for people who are wondering, like, I'm doing everything and nothing is changing. Well, then maybe you're going to need to start getting honest with yourself about what it is that you want. And then we can go back and recycle some of the episodes that are on communication, some of the episodes that are about bringing topics up and ways to be seen and known, so that you're not just, laying yourself down in a puddle. Goal isn't for one person to be comfortable. It's for both of you to be known. And intimacy can't grow without mutual truth, without both of you being able to be honest. So this week and going forward, maybe notice when you're trying to keep the peace at your own expense, and ask yourself, am I empathizing with my partner, or am I erasing myself? I'll say one last thing. This week I was sharing with a couple the success framework. And it's basically 3 circles that equal success. And it's commitment to the mission, and the mission being that both parties' voices are heard. It is willingness, and it is let me think. So I really wanted to point out the one that was about the mission, because that's what I'm talking about today, is the mission. My mission for this work is to make sure that everybody in their relationship knows what their voice is and knows what their partner is. So it's about willingness, it's about taking risks, and it's about both of you being seen. And then really we need to have the knowledge of how to do that. And that's what I hope to bring a lot of tools and the strategy here to the podcast. So again, let's make sure that we are giving compassion, being curious, but also showing up. And timing is everything. And so maybe that is the next one we'll talk about a little bit is how do you show up? Because we want to make sure that you're showing up. Last few sessions or last few episodes, we call them sessions, I've been talking about how you are trying to empathize with your partner. And we still want to make sure that we show up, that we're not just sacrificing ourselves and ultimately the relationship. So until next week, watch for your people pleasing. Make sure that you are holding onto yourself through this process. It takes two people to be in a relationship. Until next week, talk to you then.
Thanks for joining us on the Love Conscious Relationship Podcast. If you like this podcast and heard something helpful, make sure to send it to a friend and leave a review about what you liked. For more daily doses of relationship truth, follow Jessica on our socials and TikTok at Jessica Relationship Visionary.